BC Cultural Days, whose theme this year is Reimagine. And we invite you to reimagine with us some of the experiences we have transformed through poetry. Like all artists, the act of creation is not only about observing, but allowing what we perceive, experience, and feel to transform into what we call our art. As poets, we commit ourselves to seeing through, around, beyond, and within, and to allowing ourselves to try on other shoes. Reimagining is not only what we do when at the top of our craft, but what we do as we strive to get there. Poets, like many artists, take inspiration wherever they can find it. In nature, of course, in solitude, in the experiences that shape us. But we will often turn our gazes to the world of relationships and interactions, to those who have influenced us, led us, moved us in some or many ways. Friends, family, colleagues, public figures, heroes from afar, antagonists. Today, Pat and I will bring our focus, like the theme for this month's art show, to those who have had and may still have the greatest impact on us and over us, our families and friends. For this presentation, we thought we'd break these relationships down into their constituent parts, and we will each present a poem or two about these people in our lives. Over to you, Pat.
Thank you. Hi. I don't know whether to sit down or not. Not used to it. Can you hear me? Is that loud enough in the back? Okay. Relationships and family made me think of my relationships and my family and how far it goes back. So I'm just going to read a short piece which is called My Tribe. My tribe was to the core British Midlands traditional. Gingerbread dipped in port, damson dyes and jam, raisinless scones and cheerless parlours in Beulah House across from Drayton's graveyard. My ancestors with centuries of inherited grit, stiff upper lips, and not much more than sixpence worth of experience between them, left Southampton for Halifax with 2 strapped up steamer trunks, maps of Western Canada, 1 Shropshire chamber pot, an ocean of hopes, and the complete works of Shakespeare. Okay, what better way to start than with mother? For that is where it begins. A delivery that endures a lifetime. Our first experience with sustenance, with rupture, with unconditional love for those of us fortunate enough. I have to say I'm one of those that was fortunate enough. I wrote a little book some time ago called Small Corners, and it's just about people in my life that have touched my life in various ways. And the small corners were because these people are pictured in albums. And in the old days, we used to put those little black corners. Right. So Mother is my first poem in that book. Mother. She was from evening in Paris perfume, from pickup sticks and jello, and a house of lumpy stucco, and frosting licked off beaters, clingstone peaches, freestone flowers by the fence. She was from Yorkshire pudding, proper posture, and never mentioned sex. She was from don't tell Auntie Grace's secrets, do unto others, say nothing worse than damn. She was from badminton on Wednesdays, 3-no trump, the Hallelujah Chorus, and one shy solo in Canadian Memorial. She was from brandy snaps, blackcurrant jam, market Drayton gingerbread, from Visitors' Day and camp, from bandaged hands and dampened pillow slips, and don't ever break a promise. On the storeroom shelf, the album looks like leather, a bulge of pages with little black corners, sticky-backed. Try to hold her life.
So this poem is about my mother. It was written when she was in the hospital with 2 compression fractures in her spine. One day we went out for coffee to test out her new walker. Here's what transpired. It's called Blink. I escort my 92-year-old mother, all hunched over her walker, as she crosses cautiously over the threshold of this generic Starbucks franchise. And we are suddenly immersed in a sea of youth. No one over the age of 25, I presume. No one, that is, but us two. How she stands out here in this place, the only gray hair in this whole crowd, the only one with any kind of assistive device, the only person with these age-related physical challenges. Oh, she stands out all right. Perhaps even somewhat of a decoy to camouflage my own advancing age, so I can taste a bit of invisibility while she stands out all sore thumb-aged in this sea of life potential, gently bobbing on ebb and flow like some weathered old boy marking the spot. A long line reaching downwards to the very bottom of this life, anchored to a past meters and meters below the surface of this moment here. 2 young women, still girls but for their air of mannered maturity, look our way. Try not to look our way. Try not to take in this anomaly, this musty presence in this place. My sweet, unassuming, ancient mum, Gwyneth, hear the sweet cadence of her name. Perhaps they cannot quite fathom how this phantom presence could represent a peek into their own futures, meters and meters beyond the point they inhabit on the line. They are still so buoyant, so fresh-faced, so newly painted and appointed. It will come sooner than you think, I want to warn them. But who am I to shatter their illusions? I didn't know that was going to happen. And I love my mom. Oh, it's me. Okay. Father, sired, disciplined, nurtured, not nurtured, provided for, whipped into shape, made to or encouraged to develop into responsible members of society by our moral guide, Dad, Papa, Pater. This next poem presents a challenging side of my relationship with my father and concerns contagion, which I've heard is very topical these days. And it is called, if I can find it, it's called Damn Spot Washer. My father shamed me the second time I got pinworms, told me I was dirty, yet it wasn't so hard to get pinworms in those days, with dogs shitting everywhere, no one cleaning up after them. I became a compulsive hand washer after that, at the tender age of 8, washing away the shame, not wanting to invite more ridicule. Dad's resentment at having to take that medicine yet again, prophylactically, because of his filthy kid, me. This habit remained with me throughout my childhood and through most of my adult years. Then, just as I started to relax about hygiene and germs and contagions, COVID hit. Well, now everyone's a hand washer, sanitizer, flesh-to-flesh and common surface avoider, And I don't feel quite so neurotic as some of the rest of them appear, though still an old hand at keeping the hands pristine, clean, germ-free, and uncontagious. It's second nature to me. I could show them all a thing or two about hand-to-orifice contamination and preventative measures without the excess of emotion or the apocalyptic panic. Maybe even start a new religion. I've washed away more amorphous sin than could ever accumulate in the real.
This is a 7-ling, which means it's 7 lines long. It has other, criteria too. To write a 7-ling, you can look it up. I can't remember all the criteria. I wrote this a few years ago. My father was no artist, but he saw beauty in beefsteak tomatoes, or tomatoes as you say. Sorry, Australian coming out. He saw beauty in beefsteak tomatoes, fine Harris tweed, and 3-foot putts. He sang in a glee club, whistled through his teeth, played Lara's theme on the Hammond. In the kitchen, Mother rolled her eyes. Okay, uncles. It's called Those Crows. No one seems to know why. New Year's Eve, hundreds fall from the sky, landing dead center in Arkansas. We hear it on the 6 o'clock news. Aunt Prudence drops a stitch and shocks us all with, "Damn stupid bloody crows," the only oath ever to escape her prissy lips. Mom holds back on any reaction. She's never dumped disapproval on her virgin sibling's lap, never pecked at what made Prudence grandma's pet, the one who made perfect shawls knitted, made the best butter tarts. Not Mom, the one who got worms and acne, the bad seed teenager grounded for smoking stolen cigarettes, the one who almost drowned in the frog pond, the daughter found doubled over one October with all that blood pooling on Grandma's hardwood floor. None of us knows when the bad luck started, our family falling apart at the seams, the unraveling. Now it's dire prognostication, the sky raining black, those crows, unanswered questions, frenetic knitting dropped, stitches, and the cat's back riding up that way, fur standing straight up. At 7, Aunt Prudence gathers up her wool and stumps upstairs to her feather bed. The rest of us wait up to catch the late news. It would seem, still, no one can explain why, but there was death in the air tonight, a murder of crows.
So long, Bill. A message etched in sand, awaiting waves that will lap away at these simple words and disperse them across the beach and out to sea, to merge with all things everywhere, as if to underscore the transience of sentiment and attachment. Scalloped patterns of sand and iron filings juxtaposed one upon the other to form a myriad of feather-plumed wings in gray flight. We see your wings there amid the angel array, and can feel you flying free out there beyond, among the multitudes. The ideals, the deeds, and endeavors, proposed and acted, adhered to, the moments remembered, cherished, or forgotten, the many souls, living or deceased, brushed against, embraced, and enlivened by your good grace and your good humor. They ride with you now into eternity. My Uncle Bill was really my surrogate father in a lot of ways, so that was a hard loss. But so fortunate to have had him in my life. Okay, brother, sister, cousin. Our peers, our playmates, our rivals for attention and resources, our comrades in arms, connected to us at various times in our lives or throughout our lives because of our shared experience. And this next one is a tribute to my sister's resilience. She had an accident and bounced back in characteristic fashion. If you knew my sister, you would have predicted it. It's called Proud of Her. There's a little less of Lori than there was before. A fingertip, to be precise, badly crushed between a log and a log splitter, amputated to avoid complications. She has borne her loss with acceptance and humor, flashing the bird and making comments like, "Take a piece of this, why don't you? Keep the tip. There's more where this came from." On the other hand. Laughing along with all this ribbing that comes with people's discomfort around the whole thing, the very thought of it. Getting back so soon to the business of typing, filing, writing with her fat, swollen stump. Still finding time and motivation for cooking, crafting, sewing with her fat, swollen stump. Fumbling through tasks so familiar and yet newly challenging. What could possibly keep this girl down? Sure, there are others out there who have lost whole limbs, who must contend with chronic conditions and terminal illnesses. They too are challenged to accept their lot with dignity, self-forgiveness, and compassion. But Lori must endure stolen second looks and quizzical stares from people who just cannot fathom how she, a girl, could have attained such an injury. An injury more typical of men's men at that. So out of place in such a feminine creature. She now has one less nail to polish.
Grandparents, our living progenitors, connections to the more distant past, the olden days we used to call them, to the ancestral line stretching back to that before time, models of what wisdom might look like in practice for when we get there ourselves, when we have finally earned our wisdom years. Makes me wonder, I certainly should be in my wisdom years.
You should be, but you're not.
My grandmother, I was fortunate to have 4 grandparents, but my grandmother and grandfather of my mother's parents lived quite close to us, and she was a very favorite person of mine. We went from when I was a very small child through to when I got married and sailed off on my honeymoon to Australia. This is called Passages with my grandmother. At the foot of U Street, we were July. Kit's Beach, brown, super salted chips soaked with vinegar. We were bucket and spade, hand in hand up the hill. On Dunbar Street, we were back porch clothesline pulley, hidden keys under doormats, lace tablecloths, plump peas eaten straight from the pod, gooseberries dipped in pots. In South Granville, we were Sunday roast beef, lemon meringue pie, coasters under sherry glasses, green felt on card tables, partners making 3-note trump. At 16th and Vine, you were an armchair, straight-backed at the reception, brave across the room. Here I go. Wall-to-wall carpet between us. I was wedding cake from Woodward's, champagne flute, going away pantsuit from the bay. On the harbor front, we were paper streamers tossed from deck to dock, dock to deck. We were unraveled, stretched, and eventually disconnected.
And the arms had had enough of isolation and leapt off the torsos of grandmothers and grandchildren everywhere. And the arms walked on their hands through front doors of inner city apartments, of cookie-cutter suburbs, of rambling farmhouses, of clapboard seaside cottages. And the arms marched on their hands down roads, alleyways, and avenues, on pavement cracked and burning, over tiny pebbles that left painful imprints on soft palms, unaccustomed to brown. And the fingers flicked aside twisted bottle caps and harried ants. And by the thousands, by the millions, they flocked to beaches and parks and mingled with other arms and hands and searched and searched and searched until they found the right ones. And finally, reunited, the arms embraced, they hugged and danced in delirious circles, and the hands caressed each other, the soft and the wrinkled, and the fingers intertwined and held on tight. And the arms and hands were jubilant, but none more joyous than yours and mine.